kind of action.
It's for us. It's just for
exciting.
us. This is the way our street is.
Oh, dear. It's because you guys are here.
It was a legitimate call. It made sense. It was pass interference. I don't care what anybody says.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
You call runs when you're not supposed to, and Dak Prescott is throwing it in the dirt.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's up, know-it-alls? Welcome to another edition of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, know-it-alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the
It's
No
a special
Show.
edition tonight,
And
Joe.
you're right, we had Super Bowl. We had a Super Bowl special last night, and now we're talking more Super Bowl with our buddy Goz.
That's right. On the air here, we have Tom Kozlowski, formerly of 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio. How are you doing there, Goz?
What's up, guys? Happy to be back with you again. Exciting week on the way. Super Bowl. Let's go.
Yeah,
I bet you're really
he's
excited,
got to be
too.
jacked up for this one.
Absolutely. Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. You've got Tommy there along with you. You guys haven't won the Super Bowl since 2002, so you're back in the big game, too. So very exciting moving forward with that. But you've got life changes going on now, too. I mean, even in the past year since we talked to you, you had a child, a son, and everything. But now you even have a new podcast going on, Getting There with Goz. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, what that's all about?
Yeah, so as you guys just mentioned earlier, I'm no longer with ESPN Radio 104.5 The Team. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Just Google Getting There with Goz, or I should say search that, not Google. See, I'm still getting used to the podcast terms. Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, just type in Getting There with Goz. And the concept basically is I've always wanted to kind of teach people about what goes on behind the scenes, and not just teach and educate, but share stories and share laughs and have fun times with people in media.
Yes.
Sometimes in radio and television and even in business, people are afraid to talk about how they got to where they are. I don't know why. As if we assume everyone's never made a mistake in their life. I think people respond to that better of, here's where I made a mistake. Here's where I did things right. Here's my best advice I can give to people. So that's the concept of the podcast, Getting There with Goz. We're talking to athletes, coaches, media members, and more about their journeys. Fridays, we get deeper into sports again and talk about the big news of the day. So a lot of cool things going on there. And then I share some of my stories as well. I got some cool things on the way. I've talked about my career, the end of my time in 104.5 The Team, my first radio job coming up on Friday. I'm talking about how I got thrown out of the Super Bowl in Minnesota and some of the wild parties I was at, some crazy celebrity athlete bump-ins. We got 2 episodes coming out Friday, so a lot of cool stuff on the way on the new platform.
Yeah, absolutely. You probably got tales from Chick-fil-A, things like that too as well. The Chick-fil-A Chronicles. But yeah, I mean, the funny things, and I remember too when I'm watching your podcast, I watched episode 1 and 2. I started thinking about all the great things you did too there, and even showing up to the XFL games, wearing that bright red suit, making it to national television there. I mean, it was just amazing. What a personality here that channel loses. But yeah, I like that you're having the stories here. It's a different type of format that a lot of people don't do, almost like a 30 for 30 in a sense, on a lower scale. But you get to pull back that curtain a little bit. On the first of 2 episodes, I remember seeing Brian Mariano, and I remember him as a radio personality for the radio station as well. And, hearing what he does a little bit there, but that's all you know him as. But then really get to see the guy behind, the scenes in video and everything as well.
Behind the mic.
That's one thing, too. On YouTube, you can watch the video, but you can also download the podcast through Apple and stuff and listen to the audio version. And, get to see him and hear other sides of how he felt during some of these things that were going on. And it really personalizes things. And that's what I like about it so much.
Thank you, guys. Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, Closer's the man. I love that comparison of 30 for 30 because that's kind of what I'm going with a little bit. I'm kind of going with, through the whole course, not to go on a quick rant here, but through the course of history for sports fans like us and football fans, we all have this thirst to know something we don't know. And not even just sports fans, like people in general. Like when the newspaper was popular, people would get the newspaper because they wanted to hear what the coach and athletes said after the game. When television and local news was popular, they wanted to see the big high school highlight or the local team get a dunk or a home run. People tuned in to see that happen. But what's happened over the course of the last 20 years is that thirst for the unknown is coming in different ways. If you're a fantasy football fan, if you're a betting fan, you find out, all right, what do I can find out that other people don't know? And spots like 30 for 30s, the behind the scenes of what went on. I'm a fan of the show Dark Side of the Ring on Vice, where you kind of find out exactly what happened. If you're a WWE fan, you watch some of these documentaries and all these other things. I think people want to find out what they don't know. Look, if you're not a sports fan, people like gossip. I'm not trying to have it be a gossip-based thing, but you probably know the females.
Right.
There's a reason why the Kardashians have been on for 20 seasons. People want to know what's going on with the Kardashians.
Yeah.
So, like these.
Sadly
this
enough,
thirst,
yes.
Right. Like this thirst of like knowing something that, oh, wait, what really happened there? Getting to the true stories and sharing real stuff. I think people really embrace that and find that to be really cool content. So, going to continue rolling with that, and hopefully people will continue to embrace it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I really enjoy what you're doing. But, yeah, let's get to some football here. Now, we got to see the Buffalo Bills kind of flip the script here. Josh Allen, been known for a few type of inaccuracies and turnovers, really turned it around this year, throwing over 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks, and really upped his game from 58% to 69% in completion percentage. What do you think attributed to all that in a quick turnaround here for the Bills?
It's incredible to think about that stat you laid out there, because go through the history of quarterbacks at any level, high school, college, the pros. The hardest thing to fix in quarterbacks is completion percentage, lack of turnovers. Because, look, if you're a baller, like if you're Brett Favre, if you're a guy who's a gunslinger, you're going to be a gunslinger. Like, you just can't turn it off. There's certain things where it's like, this is how I'm going to play, and no matter how much you coach me up, I'm going to do this thing. Brian Daboll, the offensive the OC there, Sean McDermott, they fixed accuracy. That's crazy to think about, that accuracy is fixed. Now, that's through practice, that's through film, that's Josh Allen's development since he's been a rookie. But I got to give credit to the coaching staff and Josh Allen doing those things to fix accuracy, because it is super rare if you become an accurate quarterback all of a sudden. Either you're accurate or you're not, and that's basically going to be your life as an athlete. They fixed that. So credit to that coaching staff for making that change happen.
Right, and it wasn't just changing the system to be like a dink and dunk, checkdowns, more high-efficiency throws either.
Right.
He was still making the deep throws still there. And really the connection, too, with Stephon Diggs as well. I mean, you talk about teams that needed weapons, like the Jets always needed weapons. And when they got Stephon Diggs here in Buffalo, what a match made in heaven for those guys there in Buffalo.
And the amazing part about the Diggs move is that it's a great trade for Buffalo. They get a top-tier wide receiver who ends up having a fantastic season. And Diggs is the target Buffalo needs. And usually in trades like this, look, the other team got screwed over. But they didn't. Like Minnesota, it's weird. The trade worked for both teams because Justin Jefferson, they take in the draft. They don't have to pay him because he's on a rookie contract. Right. And statistically, Justin Jefferson has one of the best rookie seasons ever in the history of the NFL.
Absolutely.
So the trade worked out well for both teams. And I think Stephon Diggs is thrilled to be in Buffalo. I don't know if you guys see these shots of these guys, Allen and Diggs, into the game. They look like they want to play with each other for the next 10 years. Like they want to become a legendary duo in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
so, I mean, that's going to be a tough division there moving forward with them, with now Miami stepping up, too, as well, along with them.
Yeah, I mean, that connection that they kind of just – and the interesting part of the Diggs and Josh Allen relationship is that because everybody had to do, like, virtual practices and stay away from each other and everything, well, how did they create chemistry? The funny thing is they played Call of Duty online with each other, and that's kind of how they started to develop that friendship, to get to know each other. And then it led to, like, it evolved on the football field when they were allowed to practice, and they just hit it off, and now they're like best friends.
We'll get them next time.
Yeah, I guess
it's
that's what they're
amazing
doing.
too. Yeah, like, isn't that insane? Video games, like, the world we live in, that video games made these guys tighter. It's so great.
Yeah,
it's
right.
amazing.
Is that it makes you think, like, the old guy, and he's like, that's what the kids are doing these days, It's like video games. That's how they connect. Yeah, it's so sad. It was funny. I talked about this on our show with Joe. We're in flag leagues, stuff like that. Joe is and stuff, and has a league. And some people have actually connected with that whole idea to where now in the flag leagues, I know some receivers that actually started to play more video games with their quarterbacks to maybe get some more looks, in the game even. So whatever people can try and do, they're trying to do that. It's hilarious.
Whatever the hustle is, whatever.
Right.
It's better. That's right. Investment.
And since you brought up the
Honey,
Bills,
stop! I'm bonding with my quarterback right now.
That's right.
All right. Yeah.
And since you brought up the Bills, is it a little crazy, or is it just me that Brian Daboll didn't really get a legitimate head coaching interview or anything?
It's a great point, and I'm shocked he is not the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm not sure if you guys knew this information. Maybe it's getting more and more public up here in upstate New York, but the guy who's the GM of the Chargers and Brian Daboll went to the same high school in Buffalo.
Wow.
They're both from St. Francis Prep, which is a big power school. They actually, I'll go a hot take here and say, the St. Francis high school team has the coolest uniforms of any New York State high school team. They're identical to the 49ers. Like, it's the SF, like the Niners. I had some teammates who played in college at St. Francis, so I know the setup and everything. But, they're from the same area in Buffalo. So you're like, okay, they know each other from high school. I believe there's a little age discrepancy between the two, but from the same area, from the same school. And Daboll has a huge year. Why is he not the head coach of the Chargers?
Wow.
I wonder, and this is what Buffalo people have told me. I don't know if it's the correct answer, but he might want to wait for a better opportunity. Why rush? If Buffalo Bills fans think they're going to be better next season, it's not like he's going to forget football or become a worse head coaching candidate. He may have looked around and said, I'm good for now. I think a better opportunity will come in the future.
All right, we're talking to Goz from Getting There with Goz now, the Getting There with Goz podcast here. It was a pleasure having him with us. You guys out there watching along with us, if you guys got any questions for Goz out here, let him roll out here. He's out here talking with us, talking about the Bills, local sports that we have here, and the Super Bowl coming up. His team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, made it into the Super Bowl. Now, Goz, let's take you back to that day. They're playing the Packers, and it was just going all their way, I think, that night, and they pull off the victory after the game, and it's finally, you see it's over. They're going. What was going through your mind as a fan?
I'm so thrilled. I'm going nuts. So I just set up this new TV too in the house where I basically got a perfect format where it's up, not hung up. What's the word there where you not posted up? I can't think of the word where you actually have the TV up against the wall.
It's mounted.
But anyways,
you have a wall mount for it?
Mounted. Thank you. Mounted.
No problem.
So the TV's mounted, and I'm going nuts during the game, and they finally win. And I'm celebrating. It's kind of cool now having your son just bopping him around I'm going to the Super Bowl. He's in his Buccaneer gear. I don't know if he'll be forced to be a Bucs fan, but at 7 months old, we found a onesie that he's wearing. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. But it's fun because I'm watching the celebrations, and as you guys can imagine with your teams, I'm sure my phone's blowing up. Text, call, tweet, Facebook message. So all my buddies want to get a hold of me and all my friends and family to see what I'm doing. So I feel like I'm taking calls like a secretary, but it was fun. I would do that 1,000 more times to see my team go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
As you guys mentioned off the top too, it's been so long. I was a teenager when I got in last time, and the Bucs haven't gone to the Super Bowl since January of 2003. They also hadn't won a playoff game since that Super Bowl. So this whole run had been incredible, and seeing them win that and get the opportunity to play for the Lombardi Trophy on their home field was an amazing moment on NFC Championship weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a different feel. I remember that when the Giants made it the last couple of times and they had to face the Patriots, especially the undefeated Patriots. And I still felt because I saw them, the way they played them, I think it was week 16 or so, and they were playing them tough in that game. I'm like, wow, we could beat these guys. And then the fact that they made it to the Super Bowl was cool. And I said, we could do it. But the nerves kick up. You watch it. I mean, you've been in this industry for a while. You watch these games as part of your job. You do your picks, blah, blah. But now your team is in it. So you're watching it happen and unfold, and you have that upper level of anxiety in this game and how it's going to happen. How are you going to tackle all that? Are you having even a get-together? I know it's COVID and stuff like that, but what are you doing for the Super Bowl here?
So here's the thing. So I had a bunch of my cousins who live in Guilderland, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll have them come over. They came over for the NFC title game, the AFC title game. When I was coming back from Houston that weekend, I had a bunch of stuff going on, so I'd seen a bunch of people at certain points. But I'm like, all right, maybe we'll go to their house for the Super Bowl like we usually do. And I'm like, you know what? This year might have to be different. I think this year just might have to be a pizza, wings, beer, decked out in the gear, and stay away from everybody.
Yeah.
Because, as fun as it is to spend those times, you guys mentioned COVID and all the limitations that are going now, as much as it is fun to watch the Bowl with your friends, everyone's got the person in their friend group that is just there to harass the person who's losing, just stick it to them and bust their chops. So I think I'm okay with not doing that because I don't know the next time this is going to happen where my team's in the Super Bowl. So as of now, it's just probably going to be me, the wife, and the baby. But the cousins down the road, maybe I'll go to their place. I'm very much up in the air of how I want to handle this still.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, and Twitter's going to be there to shame you and everything, and stuff happens too. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. I know, and you're a legend here around here, in the capital region, I think too, and growing popularity wherever you go. So I mean, your phone's going to be lighting up there too. So you might as well just leave it to that. So you can be like, I'm silencing my phone if it goes bad, or you know what I mean, or I'm like, oh, I'm all over Twitter. I'm first one on there. Yeah, I told you. Yeah.
Maybe my wife will have a live stream of me on like Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah.
That would be just wonderful if she decides to do that. Yeah,
All
that
right.
got out there years ago. That I got out when. I don't know if you guys remember when Syracuse made the NCAA
Yes,
tournament.
yes.
Shot. Yeah,
Yep.
and Clemson won. She used to think it was funny to film me. Maybe she'll do that. Maybe that's what
That
you get
was
a guy going
amazing.
nuts. Yeah.
Right.
That was
hey,
amazing.
I remembered back in the draft when you were talking to Ed Oliver, you guys were thinking about making a baby, and that was going to be the name. Maybe, hey, you guys, you know what? This happens too. They have a thing about that, about Super Bowl babies. Brady makes it to the promised land for you guys. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You might
I'll
go,
run it
hey,
by
baby,
her.
I'm feeling
I don't
it.
mind. That's right. I don't mind that idea. I will run it by her.
Excellent. All right. So talking about Brady here now, let's go besides him joining the team, after the exit of Jameis Winston. What do you think was the difference that really led this team to make it this far to the Super Bowl? We already know you had the weapons there, but something wasn't clicking before. Was it just Jameis, or what is it that led them here?
And this hurts, this answer. It's a great question. This answer is going to hurt me because it feels like I'm going to cut down my team, but I have to honestly evaluate the squad. It's that Tom Brady doesn't turn over the football as much as Jameis. We know that. The targets got better with Gronk being an option on the outside and Antonio Brown joining the team. But the biggest benefit for the Bucs this season is they had an easier schedule. Think about this. Tampa Bay was able to get to the playoffs with an expanded playoff field. And after the regular season ended, so after 17 weeks of play, Tampa Bay had defeated one team with a winning record. One.
Right. Yep.
So they get to the playoffs, and they've only beaten one team with a winning record. That team they beat was the Green Bay Packers. So you're like, okay, the Bucs are good, but they really haven't played anybody. And if we could go through the numbers of if you looked at Brady versus teams and games they lost, winning records and games that they won, like Brady just basically statistically was far worse in games they lost, which out loud, that makes sense. Of course he was worse. The team lost. But look what happened after that. So Tampa hasn't beaten a team except the Packers with a winning record in the regular season. They get to the postseason. Their first matchup is with the Washington football team, who has a losing record. So they beat, and who's the quarterback? Taylor Heineke. They got a fourth stringer they're playing against. So the Buccaneers benefit there. Then they get the Saints, who they played now a third time. And Drew Brees is a wonderful quarterback. He's going to the Hall of Fame, but he's got a noodle as an arm now, and he's not Drew Brees anymore. So they get a team with a losing record, a quarterback who can't play anymore, who they played 3 times, and then they play a team in the title game who they beat by 4 touchdowns earlier in the season.
Yeah, I know.
So as much as I don't want to put down my Buccaneers, if someone told your team, hey, here's your path to the Super Bowl, you're going to only have to beat one team with a winning record. Your opening round game will be a team who's one of the worst in the history of playoffs, the 4th-string quarterback. You'll play a team a third time, and you'll play a team in the semifinal round. You beat by 4 touchdowns. Would you sign up for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what the Bucs got.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great. It was lined right up for him. This is what's funny about it, too, because I talked about it with somebody about this whole scenario, and Brady's kind of path, in a sense, throughout his career. Like, the things that have happened just to put him in these narratives, in these storylines, because look at this. He goes to Tampa Bay in his free agency. The Super Bowl happens to be in Tampa this year. He's the older guy, and shows, has something to prove, brings this team all the way back, gets the perfect scenarios to happen to where he gets in there. And now he's playing first guy ever to play, in a home, field again or whatever.
In the Super Bowl.
And then now on NFC and then AFC potential Super Bowl rings and everything. And it's like, man, does this guy just fall into every single story? You know what I mean? He's like Prince Charming. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. And I feel like, I'm like, where is the ogre that's going to come over and strike down this Prince Charming? I'm tired of these stories. I'm like, God.
You know what it is? It's the New York Giants
dragon.
defensive line,
Yes.
and it's Mahomes and Doug Peterson and Philly Speck. We've had a few, maybe not ogre full. Shrek was an ogre, though, right?
Yeah, he was.
Shrek, smaller ogres, if that makes sense. He's had a few, but like you said, a lot has gone in his favor, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what? One thing, though, in this Super Bowl, you've got Steve Spagnuolo on the other side. as a defensive
right.
coordinator.
Right.
He knows what it takes to take down Tom Brady. So who knows? Maybe he is the fierce dragon on the other side.
Could be.
We don't know.
Could
We
be.
don't
Could be.
know. All right.
And
Joe, what do you
so we're
think?
talking. So we're talking the Super Bowl with our buddy Goz.
Yeah.
Goz, I got a question for you. So, for this Super Bowl, this whole big stage that we love to watch every single year. Now, unlike any other season, we have the pandemic that we've been forced to go through. Now that we're only going to be limited to about 25,000 fans for the Super Bowl, do you think that by that change, with that amount of people in the stadium, is that going to kind of change the environment or atmosphere for these players on both sides?
Ooh, it's another good question. You guys are on fire tonight. It's another great question. So basically, here's what I think about that is that if you were to tell me that it would be a home field advantage, which you would assume it would be because it's Tampa playing on Tampa's field,
You would think.
I would
yeah.
lean towards yes. But if I know this correctly, and you guys might correct me if I'm wrong, the allotment of tickets, they're not basically going to say, all right, whoever wants Super Bowl tickets, come and get them. Like,
Right.
oh, look, 20,000 Buck fans bought them. Like, that's just, I would love for that to be how it works at the Super Bowl.
Right.
I would assume, of course, in this year, that's not how that's going to go. Now, of course, it's different. Like, if the Bills had a Bills playoff game and they gave it to all Bills fans, duh, it's the Bills arena.
Right.
But because it's technically supposed to be a neutral site game,
Right.
I don't feel like the crowd is going to have that much of an impact on the game. Like, it's not going to feel like a playoff game or, other
Yeah.
sports where you really feel the impact of the crowd. Because it's supposed to be a neutral setting, I feel like the crowd is not going to have that much of an impact on the game.
Right, and also another thing that was brought to our attention is that the NFL has come out and stated that they are not allowing because the Buccaneers are technically home, they're not allowing them to shoot their cannons whenever they score. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's a little too much from the NFL, or do you think that's more like trying to keep it as neutral as possible?
Who the hell does Roger Goodell think he is? You hear me, Roger? I'll come down there.
I like it.
You know what I hope happens? I get it. Like, Goodell, what total political answer there. Like, they don't want it to seem like a complete bias because it's never happened in league history.
Right.
But I think you're about to say what I'm about to say. If you work at Tampa and you're the cannon guy, do it. What's Goodell going to do? Fire you? He's not your boss.
Yeah, right,
The Tampa
exactly.
Buccaneers are your boss.
Yep.
Set off the cannons. Because I'm telling you, if you're the owner of the Bucs, if you're the Glazers, if you're Jason Light, the GM,
Yeah.
and you set off the cannon in the Super Bowl, they're going to act really mad at you and yell and scream, and then they'll probably the next day be like, that was
Like,
awesome.
hey, here's a little something extra.
Yeah. Things
Exactly
happen.
right.
I know. I mean, didn't an NFL player swear on Nickelodeon when they did the playoff game? I mean, so
Yeah.
it happens.
It happens.
You know what I mean?
It slipped. I accidentally, I leaned on the button and the cannons went off. I'm sorry.
It was an actual pirate. I'm sorry. We're a Buccaneer field. The pirate came into the ship.
Arrgh, I'm pushing the
That's right.
button.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Okay, so
Pirate hooker.
I love that sound bit.
Yeah, all right.
But so now this game is going to be about matchups, right, guys? So
Yes.
both teams are really good. Some in some areas better than others. But for me personally, Tampa Bay is a little bit more rock solid in terms of top to bottom on the roster. The Chiefs, they are also very, very good. They're seeing more of that high-profile offense attack you often and quickly. And their defense has surprised a lot of people in how well they've been able to play. The Buccaneers now, they're starting to get a reputation on the defensive side of the ball. Now they're being seen as one of those top legit defenses as well. Now that we just kind of brought up all the situations with those teams, is there a matchup in this game? It could be a matchup player to player. It could be a certain player on one team or the other. In your eyes, do you think there's going to be a difference maker for Tampa or the Chiefs that maybe not a lot of people are paying attention to?
Ooh, so that last part makes it a little bit more interesting because I have a player that I think is not Patrick Mahomes that isn't impacted this game. That is by far, I believe, going to determine the winner of the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And that is Chief wide receiver Tyreek Hill versus ? Now, if you remember
Right.
the game, Chiefs versus Buccaneers from the regular season, and if you remember the finish of that game, Tony Romo, to his credit, as he always figures it out, said, we're probably going to see this matchup again in the Super Bowl. Shout out to Romo, and also shout out to me. I called that in the preseason, too. I cashed my
there you go.
34-1 ticket at Rivers. Let's go.
Well, really, you're in Romo's earpiece, just giving him any information. So really, you're the whole
That's
mastermind
right.
behind
So you
it.
guys
so.
know me very well. That's exactly right. So, but the difference is Tyreek Hill, and here's why it's Tyreek Hill. Because if you remember that game in the regular season, Hill lit up Tampa. So much so that in that game, Tyreek Hill was pacing to have the most receiving yards ever in a game, ever in the history of the NFL. If he had kept his first half pace up, he would have had the greatest single receiving game ever recorded in the history of the league. Now, if you're telling me Tampa could still keep that game close, and at one point a receiver was pacing to have the greatest game ever recorded in professional football history in the NFL, that's the difference. You know, Tyreek Hill, if you could hold him to, $140, and I know that sounds like a huge number,
Right,
but
right.
if Tyreek Hill cannot take over the game like he did in the regular season, and Tampa can limit him and not let him go off for a great game, that's how Tampa can win this game. Now, I said Tyreek Hill versus question mark, because who in the world can cover him? He is so fast. He is such an athlete.
Yep.
Tampa is going to have some issues of how in the world are we going to match up with Tyreek Hill? And the part about Patrick Mahomes, okay, if you focus on Hill too much, Kelsey can beat you.
Yes.
Mahomes can move a little bit. That's
Yep.
where it's going to be really difficult for the Bucs, where Hill is such a matchup problem. And they showed it in that first matchup. How can they figure out a way to slow him down and not give up too much of the offense somewhere else? That's the absolute key to this game for both teams.
I agree, and the other thing too is we can kind of run off of that answer as well. Is that if Todd Bowles, if he does the right game planning. Now, listen, there's been film already as soon as this year that some defenses have been able to slow down Mahomes and that offense, not necessarily shut them down, but they've made it really difficult for them to get going. And if he just manages to play more like a cover 3, have a spy on Mahomes. Listen, my Raiders, their crappy defense that they had this year, which absolutely was atrocious. The 1 week the first time that they played the Chiefs, they took their D end and spied Mahomes. No matter where he moved, he basically played the middle linebacker role. And as soon as he broke the pocket, the DN went after him, and it led to a lot of, misguided throws, some bad decision making, and even a couple of sacks. So if you can get him a little uneasy like that, I feel like the Buccaneers, and I know that they've done their homework, so it's just a matter of execution.
It's a great point. I want to hop off that. I'm glad you said the Raiders thing, because I was going to bring this up, and you set it up for me there that, look, when now the Vegas Raiders did that matchup, they gave the Chiefs a look that made Mahomes uncomfortable, and it wasn't probably seen on tape leading up to that week. Like, whoa, the Raiders are spying, the Raiders are doing this. This is throwing us off. Let's think back, and I know this is going to be a bad memory for you as a Raider fan, but let's think back to that January 2003 Super Bowl. And we know the legend now is that Bill Callahan decides not to change anything going into that game. Anything. To the point where Derek Brooks and John Lynch, they're actually calling out the plays.
Yeah.
They had 3 pick sixes. 3.
Mm-hmm.
And an NFL MVP quarterback threw 3 pick sixes, 2 for Dwight Smith, right? 1 for Dexter Jackson is how it went. Yeah. So what the Raiders didn't do is they didn't change their game plan, and it cost them the Super Bowl because of that. What Tampa and Todd Bowles have to do is they have to play this weird game of, obviously we're not going to do the thing we did in the regular season because it wasn't good and we got torched. Right. But what can we do in this matchup that Mahomes will walk under center and get confused and not know what to do? Look, we were talking about the Giants earlier, right? When the Giants played the Patriots and Brady, they blitzed. The problem with blitzing Mahomes is he's such a good athlete that when stuff starts to break down, that's when Mahomes is good. Right. No-look passes and receivers so fast they break coverage. Blitzing Mahomes sounds like a great idea, but you got to hit him because if you let him escape a little bit, a broken play can cost you a Super Bowl.
Right, and a lot of times he'll just throw it to a spot, and Tyreek Hill just runs to the ball.
Yes.
So I mean, it's really difficult to stop him. But yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
And then feed off of that a little bit too. On the flip side of it, now we've seen with all these cash that they have with the Buccaneers here. Tom Brady brings along AB. He's got Gronk now, but he always had there with them Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, Mike Evans, everybody here. Even now the running backs, they have a running game. They haven't been able to have a running game in years here. Been trying to figure it out forever. Now they do. So now they can move the ball on all phases.
Oh, yeah.
So what do the Chiefs need to do on defense here to try and slow down this offense? Because you could say you could try and pin your ears back and maybe try and blitz Brady to get him hurried and rushed out of the pocket, but then they could just start doing delayed handoff or zone handoffs here and there and then start running the ball. So then now you got to bring your guys back up. So then it leaves it up and over the top. So what do you think?
That is the best part about this Tampa offense. You laid it out there. That's what the internet's calling him playoff Lenny, right? Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny, and the moves that he can make and how to make it more difficult. The best advice I would say for the Chiefs, and this is a little old school. I'm talking like old school Patriots, Colts. Remember these matchups with Ty Law and Mark Harrison back in the day? You have to get, how do I say this correctly? Physical within the rules, if that makes sense, because the rules have changed so much over the last 20 years. Like you can't let Gronk get off the line free without hitting Gronk. You can't let Mike Evans, who's such a freak athlete, just jump over you, or Antonio Brown beat you with some speed. You have to have some type of defensive coordinator in the locker room give a rah-rah speech where the defensive players are going to go on and want to hit somebody really hard and get that motivational, legendary NFL film speech where if these guys come over the middle, if they try to break away from you, that at some point in the game, they start to think, oh, maybe I don't want to come over the middle. Ooh, maybe I don't want to get hit on the sidelines. Maybe I don't want to deal with this linebacker. Every coach wants their team to be physical, but as we all kind of agree, these are just such good athletes for the Buccaneers that if you just can't straight out athlete them or out cover them, you got to do something else. And to be physical is the best way for the Chiefs to do it.
All right, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that is the way to approach it. Absolutely,
For sure.
Yeah, so we're talking to Tom Goz here from Getting There with Goz, his new podcast. Check it out. It's on Apple and on YouTube. You can subscribe here to him on YouTube as well. Very entertaining and a different look behind the scenes and stories to be told within radio and sports talk and all phases of life. It's definitely a good watch, so check it out when you can. Goz, as a tradition, whenever you're on here, we know you're a wrestling fan, so we got to throw a little bit of wrestling out there. So I felt, we even got your own special move and things like that, and finishers and everything. We did every aspect here. Yeah. But I'm deciding to go a little different here. I'm going to say, check this out. I'm going to lay it out for you. This Super Bowl is now WrestleMania. You've got the veteran and the young spry kid. What is the main event? Who are the wrestlers? If this is the game, the Chiefs and the Bucks, what wrestling match is that equivalent to in the WrestleMania?
I have the match, but I want the finish to be different. So this match is basically WrestleMania 6. This is at the Skydome. This is Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Champion versus champion.
I like
the
it.
Warrior's got the Intercontinental title. Hogan's got the world title. Hogan's the face of the WWF at that point. He's the man. He can't be beat. He's everything. But then you've got this young upstart who's going to be the future, who everybody loves, who can't figure out who he actually is, the Ultimate Warrior, who is Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is the Warrior. Hogan is Brady. But if you remember that as a wrestling fan, the Warrior beat Hogan, and then Hogan, kind of stuck around and did his thing. But he wasn't the Hogan that we all knew and loved.
Right.
And eventually joined the NWO and everything else. But can we get a different finish? How about Hogan beats the Warrior, and then he goes out as the champ? So that's the match. It's definitely WrestleMania 6, Ultimate Warrior versus Hogan.
Right.
But I need a different finish.
Right.
I can't even do Andre the Giant versus Hogan because the Chiefs aren't Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Brady is.
That's true. That is true. And it almost reminded me of that one Rocky movie, too, where he was, older and he came back, and you knew he was going to lose, though, but then he put up a really great fight against a young guy or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same type of scenario there, too. Yeah. But who knows? Yeah, we've got the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan there getting it down here in Tampa Bay. So we have nothing left here but the picks. Who do you got here? Are you staying with your Bucks, or do you think you're going to look at it and analyze it a little too much and be like, I don't know, I think those Chiefs got enough to get it done?
See, as you guys know me, I even dropped this little plug that I nailed it in the preseason. I said Bucks Chiefs preseason. I am very, very stubborn about preseason picks, and what I mean by that is I will ride it until it's not right.
Right, yeah.
So in the preseason, I did say Bucks Chiefs, but the Chiefs would beat them. However, this past December, when I was telling you guys about my investments I did over at Rivers Casino,
Yep.
at one point in December, the Buccaneers were 15-1 to win the Super Bowl. And let's just say I invested in that bet, and it's my favorite team. And because they slowed down Tyreek in that second half, I think the Bucs can really do it. I'm not saying this just because I'm a fan. I'm looking at the game and trying to figure it out. 27-24, Tampa over Kansas City. Andy Reid gets a little too aggressive with his play calling on fourth downs. That's what cost Kansas City. Tom Brady and the Buccaneer offense eats up a lot of clock to keep Mahomes off the field. They get points whenever they can. Proves to be the difference. Bucs by 3, and the Lombardi Trophy. I want to say it comes back to Tampa, but since they're in Tampa, I guess they'll just move into another room at that point after the game.
Yeah.
The Bucs will win their franchise's second Lombardi Trophy.
Boom, shakalaka.
There you go. Yeah, and Tom Brady now I think he's got one more year in his contract now. You think he comes back a whole another year here and sticks it out and rides it out with these guys if he does win?
What Tom Brady does is he leg drops Mahomes like Hogan should have at WrestleMania 6, and then rips off his shirt. No, I don't even want. I had a feeling you guys were going to ask me about the future question, and I'll say what I thought about. Let me enjoy Sunday, you two.
Yeah, how about that? I like it.
Sunday, you ask me all about Brady and Gronk in the future. You can tweet me if you want.
There
Let
you
me
go.
enjoy Sunday, and then I'll figure out what Brady's going to do after that.
We're going to have to have, if Tampa Bay wins, we got to have Goz back on the show to celebrate.
Absolutely. Definitely. That sounds good. Absolutely. Goz, we really love it when you come on. It's been a pleasure. It's been too long since we've talked to you.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It's always a great time. I look forward to watching more episodes of your podcast. It's getting there with Goz. You can follow him on Twitter, too, at Tom Goz on Twitter. You can also download his podcast here on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Subscribe. What else? I miss any here, guys?
No, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Jimmy and Joe, you guys are the absolute best. You guys have always been with me since day one. Football on the know, keeping all the good stuff going. Hope you guys enjoy the big game Sunday. And if the Bucs win, check in on me. If they lose, check in on me.
Yeah, we'll check in on you if they lose.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Excellent, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, brother.
And we'll see you next time.
All right, dudes. Catch you guys later. Enjoy the game Sunday.
All right,
You too.
thanks,
Good luck.